All right. So, on this episode of Empowering Her, we have Erica with us today. Erica, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, let's talk about the role that you're in now and kind of that journey to get where you are.
I am senior sales development rep at a company called ClearFind. Originally, I did not finish. I did start college, but I didn't finish college. I quit to start a business when I was in my 20s. I owned the first food delivery company that existed in New Orleans, Louisiana. I had that for 7 years, and after I sold that, I just wanted to get really good at sales. And so I started looking into boot camps and things of that sort that helped people get better at sales. And I found a program called Pre-Hired. Um, it's a little bit of I wouldn't really recommend Pre-Hired as much as a program to get into sales, but it was helpful for me. It's just a very expensive program. But there's many other things out there to get there. So, anyways, I'm a senior sales development rep at this point. I'm hitting 170 to almost 200% quota on a pretty regular basis. So I'm making over my expected income. And yeah, that's about it.
So, I think that's amazing because you were kind of a founder, you owned your own company. You realized that there was a need for this. So, I think that's amazing. And you're the first to kind of jump out there and do this, which takes a lot of courage to do something like that. Let's talk for a second about starting your own business and creating that business. Because I think with business ownership, we see the after of it, which you were successful and you sold it. We see kind of glamorize that business ownership, but talk about some of the challenges you had growing that business.
Well, there's loads of challenges whenever it comes to owning a business. But I'd say the most challenging ones were hiring and keeping staff because we were always a little understaffed. Um, Mainly because I was hiring the food delivery drivers, which, if you could imagine, are not the most reliable people on the planet. But then along with that, sales was actually what I did the worst at. I felt personally that I could have been a much better salesperson, and that's why I chose to become a better salesperson, because I wanted to have this skill set for if I should start another business in the future.
I love that. So you took what you felt like you really needed to improve on, you really embraced that, and now you've kind of taken that full court to the point to where and let's talk about that kind of that that sales journey that you've had. So what was kind of your first role in sales leading up to where you are now?
My first role in sales, other outside of owning my own business and selling that, was a company called Interseller, which is a sales enablement platform for recruiters. Basically, it's the easiest way to explain it, but it's an outreach platform. So it helps recruiters reach out to candidates and engage with candidates to get them interested in their roles that they're trying to fill at the moment. And I did that for a little over a year until the company that I worked for was acquired. And then I ended up leaving and coming to ClearFind last December.
Okay, and so I know within sales, like the salary ranges, including the OTE, can be kind of all over the place. But
Mhm.
what would the typical salary look like? Maybe stepping into that SDR, BDR role, and then kind of moving up to like the AE, and then even further past that.
It Well, whenever you first start, you can expect. Right now, it's a SDR's market, so there's a great need for SDRs. So you can expect a base salary of around 55,000 with an extra 30,000 in commissions, which is the OTE. So you can expect to make about 85,000 OTE if you are hitting your targets. Me as a senior sales development rep now, meaning I have some experience under my belt, I make a $70,000 base and I have 108 OTE, and that's just if I hit my numbers. Which, as I mentioned before, I'm exceeding my numbers, so I'm going to make more than my expected commission. And then I think AEs from there can start anywhere from 80 to $100,000 base and make 120 to 150,000 commission OTE.
And that is insane because, correct me if I'm wrong, but those are one of those roles that you don't have to go to college for. Is that correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. I
So,
do know some SDRs that are like they're recent graduates from college. But I can say that I absolutely did not need anything that I was taught in college to get this job. The basic characteristics that you need to hold are grit, ambition, and just a steadfastness where you can really grit in the same sense is where you can just really stick to what you're supposed to do and like be self-motivated, which I think a lot of the students coming up are going to be able to be better with that than what my generation is, even because they've had to deal with COVID and doing their schoolwork at home via and seeing their teachers via Zoom. So I think that they're going to have an even easier time getting into this kind of industry than what somebody my age would.
let's talk about some of the challenges that you have personally faced in the SDR role, and then as the sales, manager now. What can we expect to see? Maybe the biggest challenges that you would face in those roles.
The biggest challenge, I would say that there's two. To start, you have to be a people person. So you have to be able to humanize yourself and speak to somebody in a way that makes you seem like a human to them instead of, an annoying cold caller or, cold outreach person. So that's the first challenge. But the biggest challenge I have from day to day, because I'm already a people person naturally, my biggest challenge is the redundancy of the day. Like you do the same thing every day, all day. And that's kind of difficult, but that's really any job. You're going to end up having that. Um, it does get broken up well when you are booking plenty of meetings because you have to sit in on those meetings. So you're getting to know people and you're interacting with them throughout the day. But in the start, it's a little bit difficult just because you have to do the same thing day in, day out. Because consistency is really the key whenever it comes to being successful in a role like this.
Perfect. And then for the company that you work out now, what type of product or software are you selling?
So we are a software that evaluates other softwares and it finds redundancies. Repetition or trying to think of an easier way of saying it. It finds some softwares that do similar things and it suggests to you that you could consolidate down to one software or the other and helps you to save money that way because a lot of times when these corporations get really big, like say like your Bank of America or something like that. The people in those industries, they tend to like the HR department will buy certain tools, whereas the legal department buys different tools, but they have tools that do the same thing. And so they find that if they have tools that are doing the same thing, if you get rid of one, you can save a couple $100,000 a year. And so that's what we do is we uncover redundancy opportunities and consolidation opportunities. And then there's also that we go on from that point and we also help you to decide what new softwares you should buy. So when you're looking for something new, you type it in and it'll show you if you already have something like that in your tech stack And if you don't, it will show you the top five softwares that we recommend that would work best with the specific tech stack that you already have.
Okay, that's very, very interesting, and product that is absolutely needed. I know that we've in the classroom we've had times where we've had the same, several products that do exactly the same thing, and
Mm-hmm.
so we're left wondering, like, okay, it's the why of it is like, okay, why do we have all these
Right.
products that or we'd even have some that were from the same company, and they would do different things that were necessary, but they would not like talk to each other. And
Uh-huh.
so, yeah, it's just like, why can't we just increase the functionality of the one program rather than needing two? But for your moving up kind of the ladder as you're doing, how long did it take from you to move from that like that entry level sales role up to where you are now?
At Interstellar, after 6 months, I was raised to be the senior SDR, and I received a raise then. I went from 55,000 to 60,000 base, with about a 30 OTE. And then whenever my company was acquired, I was due for a raise, and the new company that acquired us was taking away the opportunity for me to get that raise. So I went on the market, and basically went on LinkedIn and told people, "Hey, I've been doing this. I've been performing at 173%, and I'm looking for a new opportunity. So let me know." And I had Clearfind reach out to me, and they offered me 70K base and the 108 OTE, to come be a senior SDR over at their company. And I received that offer within one day of announcing that I was um, on the market. So it's like I said, it's an SDR's market right now for sure. If you have a little bit of experience under your belt, you can ask for a lot.
That's insane because, if we go on LinkedIn right now, we can see a lot of people that are, I've been applying for jobs for months and months and months. So it's really amazing how quickly you were and I'm sure a lot of companies reached out to you because companies love, not only do they love successful SDRs, but they like those that can coach the SDRs to do better because not only is it better for the SDR, but it's better for the company.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what my next step would be, is becoming an SDR team lead or SDR manager. I had the opportunity to go on to be an AE, but I think I want to take on managing again. Like I said, I had issues with hiring whenever I was younger, so I kind of want to get a little bit more experience whenever it comes to running teams and managing under my belt too. So it kind of just seems like the natural next step.
And so, you mentioned all the opportunities there are, especially if you have a little bit of experience under your belt but what about for somebody maybe that's coming out of high school that will be watching this that is like, I really want to do sales. How competitive is that field if you don't have a lot of experience or no experience?
It's it's pretty competitive. However, if you go about it the right way, then it's not that difficult. Like I know a SDR that started when he was 17 and still in high school. So he was doing work study, and it's like, well, he's a well-known person on LinkedIn. Um, I assume it was work study. I don't know exactly how he got away with it, but he was working full time over at Panda Docs. Um, but I would say so really what you have to do in order to get into the industry is you have to reach out to the hiring managers and the business development managers and tell them, hey, I applied. I also looked up your information via one of the tools that we need to use on a daily basis. So you want to use something like Lead IQ or Interseller or Apollo or Outplay to look up somebody's contact information and either I'll go ahead and send them an email introducing yourself and saying, "Hey, I applied for this role." But also at the same time, you need to give them a cold call and talk to them and say, "Hey, I applied for this role and I'm really interested. I know I don't have any experience, but I just wanted to show you that I have no fear of doing exactly what needs to be done to get the job done. So,
I like it. So yeah, you're almost showing that you understand the role by doing the cold call, because that is what you're going to be doing, and I
and
think that's beautiful
and
advice.
that can translate to any job that you're trying to get out of high school. Is you just, if as long as you can showcase that you know what it takes to do the job to the right person, then you will get the job. I mean, of course, you wouldn't for like a doctor or a lawyer, but
Right.
you know, for a lot of jobs, that you just need to be able to show that you know what you're doing.
I love it. I love it. Actionable advice.
Mhm.
Let's talk about mentors for a second. So, in your opinion, how important are mentors, and what is the best way about going to find mentors?
I think mentors are really important. I didn't have a mentor whenever I was starting my business, but I did have one whenever I started at Interseller. She was actually my boss also, but she was a great mentor to me. Um, I would say it makes things a lot easier whenever you have a mentor because you can bounce ideas off of them and really that's it could never hurt to have another person that is buying into your success. Um, as for finding a mentor, going on LinkedIn is will never hurt. Getting started on LinkedIn now, as whenever you're younger, will be a good starting point. And finding the person that's already successful at what you're trying to do, and asking them if they'll be willing to mentor you. I've had multiple people come to me since I started as an SDR and ask me for my advice and ask me to kind of be a mentor to them. And I think it's worked out well for them also. Hopefully, I'm doing what I can as a mentor, but I think that's really all there is to it is just asking. Find the person that's in the role that you want and ask them if they're willing to mentor you to get you there.
Well, and I think you would be one that would be a fantastic mentor, because not only have you been in the role for a little bit now, but you've shown that you're incredibly successful at it. And I think, if I was going to be an SDR, you would definitely be one that I would reach out to and go, "Hey, I understand that you're like hitting crazy numbers. Like, show me how you do it, and kind of understand, because I know that a lot of that, those meetings can be lost not to fill up the pipeline, not to my kids will go, "What is a pipeline?" So we'll talk about that later. But Erica, let me ask you this, okay? And this will be like kind of like the hot seat.
Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah. Knowing what you know now, and
Hmm.
this doesn't have to be career, profession, or education related, what is that one piece of advice you would give to your middle school or high school self?
Get a job waiting tables. I think that out of everything, that's probably the where you can get the best experience whenever it comes to learning how to be a personable person, ambition, and grit. Um, Everybody that I know that does really, especially well in sales, has a background somewhat of doing some kind of job where they had to be personable and had to kind of deal with people on a day-to-day basis. So waiting tables is a great way to get started. And you get paid really well to do it. I mean, for a high school student, especially, or for somebody that's 18 or 19, you make probably the best money you possibly can make outside of like getting into sales. Um, Otherwise, you just gotta, I would also say, maybe look into creative writing and being able to, because whenever it comes to sales, especially, but anything that you do, you need to be able to express yourself in a creative way that catches somebody's eye. And so I would say like going on YouTube or something like that and looking into creative writing courses would be really helpful too.
That's That is awesome. It's funny you mentioned that. That's what I did while I was through college. I bartended and waited tables. And you talked about being able to get real thick skin real fast, and the money's actually really good. It's also one of those jobs that teaches you that the harder you hustle, the more money you can make.
Exactly. I mean, I honestly don't. I truly believe that if you can't make it as a server, then you don't have any business in sales.
I think that's probably
So
right.
it's you can save a lot of time by finding out whether or not the two like you can if you have what it takes.
Oh, perfect. Well, Erica, I really, really appreciate your time. Just the wisdom and the knowledge that you've shared, and kind of showing those possibilities within sales, what can be done. And I just can't thank you enough for your time.
Yeah, of course. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me, they can always get on LinkedIn. They can reach out to me. I'm Erica Stacy, and I'm more than happy to kind of lead them in the right direction if they're interested in sales.
Awesome. I'm glad you said that. I usually ask later because I've had some people where I asked them on camera and they're like, I would love to, but I am just so busy right now. They're like, they almost feel bad. So,
No, I'm happy to help. I mean, I'm sure in the future I will be more and more busy, but as of right now, I'm on LinkedIn all day, every day. So I'm always happy to help somebody out.
perfect. All right. Well, you have a great rest of your day.
Thank
Thanks.
you. You too.